Welcome to another video, another Google Hangout class on A Course in Miracles and teachings from David Hoffmeister. I'm Erik Archbold, and I'm really inspired to talk today about true empathy. And I'm actually here in San Rafael, California, which is really close to where I grew up. I grew up in Petaluma, which is about a half hour north of here, and I'm sitting outside. I'm staying with a friend named Jen, and who lives in the Terra Linda area, and it's just a beautiful, beautiful day today. I'm sitting here on her little porch, her little outside porch, and it feels like the day is just perfect for this topic, because I'm sitting here and looking out, and there's just this beautiful scenery in front of me, and then there's kind of a hilltop, and if you look beyond the hilltop you can just see this expansive blue sky, and I kind of think of true empathy as symbolic of this kind of scenery where there's a lot of specifics. There's a lot of things I could focus on here in the scene in front of me. Maybe I'll just show you really quick so you can see what I'm looking at. You can see there's houses below and apartment buildings and trees, and then there's just that horizon line, and then this just perfect blue sky above that. Get myself situated back here on the table. And the reason that makes me, that kind of feels like a good intro to true empathy, is because true empathy is really about overlooking error. It's about overlooking what appears to be problems. In Christian Science, which Mary Baker Eddy was the founder of, she would teach the same exact thing, and she would talk about how it's almost as if the whole world is, she would describe the whole world as trying to hypnotize us into making us buy into it. And she would use the term, I think the term was making a claim, like the world would, like when there seemed to be a problem, it was as if, kind of like when you make a claim on your insurance and you say, I've had an accident, now I would like to claim the funds that I've invested. I want to claim them back. And it's as if the world or the ego is saying, I'd like to claim that there really is a problem here, and I need your attention to focus on it. Anytime that there's thousands of opportunities every day to get sucked into believing that the problem is real, that the problem of separation is a real problem that needs a solution on a specific level. And true empathy is really the attitude of staying aligned with the truth, staying aligned with the ultimate truth that the separation did not happen, and that therefore anything that seems to be an effect of separation, which is anything that we would call a problem in time and space, even things that seem to be good, even things that seem to be like a good thing, that all of it is really just an effect, and that ultimately none of it is real, and it doesn't need to be paid attention to. In fact, if we put our attention on specifics and kind of rivet our mind, our holy mind, which is expansive and which is naturally abstract and limitless, the moment we kind of zoom in and get hypnotized on one little thing, whether it's, oh, that's a horrible atrocity, or even, oh, that's such a great thing that happened, and thinking that that's really the greatness is in the specific, then it's a way of keeping us from remembering that the only thing really worthy of our attention and focus is God, is truth, is oneness. And that's the only place we're happy, because if we're focusing on a problem, obviously we're caught up in thinking that it's real, that we have to fix it. And even if we're focusing on something that we would call good, like if we say won the lottery, or we get a pat on the back, or someone gets the job that they really wanted, not that we want to ever say, oh, that's just an illusion, and not just try to avoid that. When good feelings come up and when bad feelings come up, we have to allow it all and really just be very, very authentic. So I'm not talking about denial in any sense of the word. Denial would be the worst thing that we could do, actually. It's about full allowance of our emotions. And true empathy is a very, very high state of mind. It's a state of mind where it's the idea that we are to practice just reminding ourselves that the goal is to continuously focus on spirit, become very, very riveted on the truth in our mind, and to just practice staying there. And that nothing else can really be truly healing, that no other way that we can be, if it's not coming from that place of being riveted in the truth, then any attempt we make at correcting something in form will be ill-advised, or it'll actually reinforce the problem that we're trying to solve, because it isn't coming from the spirit through us. It's coming from an egoic fear that something really needs to be fixed. So I'll just go into some specifics, because these ideas can get quite abstract. I used to be a hypnotherapist, and so this idea of true empathy is really, really dear to my heart. As I was practicing hypnotherapy and I did a lot of large group seminars where I would do clinical hypnosis with a big group of people, like basically hypnotizing 100 people at a time to help them quit smoking or lose weight or relieve stress. And it was quite interesting, because at the beginning I really would try as best I could to come up with the best hypnotherapy script that I could write that would be most effective for everybody. So I would write a pre-planned script of that I would use to hypnotize. I would memorize it, or I would even sometimes read it from the podium in the very beginning, but I would usually try to memorize it so it would look like I was very rehearsed, and I would try to deliver just the right words that would be most healing. And then I started studying A Course in Miracles and getting in touch with this. I did this career for about 7 years, so it was, I think, a couple years into it when I started studying the Course and getting more in touch with this idea that healing is not of the body, and that words aren't really corrective, that words don't really heal, that the source of healing is very, very deep. It's beyond perception. It's beyond the body. It's beyond words. It comes from a willingness to have my perception be cleansed. That healing is really of perception. It's of the mind. And so as I was I was learning these ideas from the Course, and yet still practicing hypnotherapy and trying to kind of reconcile these two worlds. I've heard people who start to study the Course in other fields, for example, like that are even more focused on the body. I mean, what I was doing was already pretty focused on the mind already, but I still had to go deeper with it. And I've heard stories of people who were say massage therapists or doctors or nurses who start studying the Course, and then they feel like, I can't do this job anymore. How can I, if I'm not really even supposed to be trying to fix the body, then why even continue doing this job? And the truth is that it's true that it's not about fixing the body, but that doesn't mean that If you're currently working as a massage therapist or a doctor, or really any career, because pretty much every profession of this world in some way is trying to help bodies, that you should just quit. And you may be guided to quit, but if you're not guided to quit quite yet, it's not really that there's anything wrong with the form of things. I was beginning to learn was that it's really my attitude that heals. And it's not really about even healing them, it's really about healing for myself. But as the Course says, when I am healed, I am not healed alone. So at that time, I had read the Course, I had started reading the Course, and I had done the workbook, and then I remember finding a little pamphlet that is a supplement to the Course called Psychotherapy, Purpose, Practice, and Process. I think I may have mixed up the three words, the order they're in, but that pamphlet was instrumental in helping me really use the context that I was in as a therapist. I wasn't a traditional psychotherapist, but I was using therapeutic techniques for the mind, and to use that for my own healing. Because that was what I was really seeing is what's most important. It's not important to try to be a good therapist, to try to get people to quit smoking or lose weight, which is what the context was that I was in. That, if those things seem to happen, great, but I don't really have any control over that. And that was even something I already kind of knew, that I would even tell people at the beginning, like, there isn't any guarantee with this. It really depends on how much of a desire you have for healing. Even Jesus, 2,000 years ago, there's the stories in the Bible where, someone would come up to him and just touch his cloak and experience a healing. And he would feel that something had happened, and when people would ask him, like, did you heal that person? He would say, no, it was their faith that healed them. So it's never really that we can personally heal another person. And really, we can't even help people. We can't really help other people. That it's arrogant to think that the little self can help another little self. That would be the blind trying to lead the blind. The little self that we believe we are is actually an image. It's really, and this goes into the deeper metaphysics of the Course, but it's just as much part of the projection of the whole cosmos as the other bodies are. They're all it's all one projection. And so to think that one part of the projection can help another part of the projection is thinking that an illusion can help an illusion. And so it's really about, am I willing to see the truth, to see through the illusion, to see the Christ, that beyond the veil there is one mind that we share, and that mind is the Christ mind. And healing, the definition of healing is actually the opening of the mind to this awareness, the opening of the mind to the experience, to the true experience, not ephemeral experiences of the world, but to what we could call knowledge, the ultimate knowledge that I am the Christ, and there's only one of us. There's only one mind here. So in that context, for me, hypnotherapy, that was just a really, really fun way for me to practice. I would get up to my podium every day, and I would still have my script. I didn't try to just abandon the script. I did start to experiment more and more with when I was staying in that alignment and just practicing seeing beyond the bodies, like being open to, like with this scene here in front of me, looking, not focusing on the things, but remembering that there's a sky beyond it, remembering that even if I were to look down and see something specific, like a leaf on a tree, to remember that beyond that leaf, if I go way beyond all of it, way beyond this this little area here, and way beyond the planet, and way beyond it all is an infinite sky, so to speak, an infinite realm, and that's the true nature of things. And that's very, very healing. That's actually how, in relationships with people, how we can really help them. We can remember their reality for them. We can look into their eyes, and we can see through whatever the issue that they seem to be having is. And this happens over and over and over again. I get lots of opportunities nowadays with friends who are into A Course in Miracles or who aren't, and who will come to me, and they can feel that I'm not going to buy into the problem that they seem to have, so they'll share what they're going through, and I just sit there, and I feel like I've gotten so good at this now. I've just been practicing for so many years with listening really intently, but always noticing, really using the opportunity of what they're sharing to notice if I'm being triggered at all. If I'm having any sense of like a reaction, that like starting to feel what the Course calls false empathy, starting to feel like oh, that's horrible, like, oh, you poor thing, and starting to feel even what we could call compassion. Compassion is thought of as a good thing in this world. Even Buddhism says, yes, be compassionate, but we could say, I guess we could say there's a distinction between false compassion and true compassion, which would be the same distinction between false and true empathy. It would be, having, not relating to the problem, not buying into it, not trying to understand it. It's impossible to understand problems, but to look through them and to see their falsity, and to identify with what actually is. So, yeah, that's kind of a basis for true empathy. And when people are sharing with me something that they're going through, for years and years and years, I would use that opportunity to just notice if I felt an urge to try to offer advice. It's so tempting to offer someone. It's just considered the normal thing to do when somebody has a problem. Yeah, you try to help them. You give them advice. You give them some helpful suggestions based on what you've learned in the past. But I started to realize that this isn't really helpful, and oftentimes people don't really want advice, unless they're specifically asking and saying, can you please tell me what to do? Most of the time people come to share a problem they're going through just because they just need to get it out of their head. They need someone who will just listen to them and not judge them. They want to know that they're still innocent. They want to know that that having this problem doesn't mean that who they are is some kind of a failure in any way. And so, it's just such a gift and an honor to be able to hold the space for our brothers and sisters when they seem to be going through any kind of issue, and to just be in that silent remembrance for myself that all is well, that Christ is real, that God is real, and that everything else isn't. And I wouldn't usually say that, and it's not. It can't even just be like a metaphysical ghosting for myself. It has to become an authentic experience, which means that I have to be willing to face any discomfort I'm feeling while I'm listening to them. And that's usually how it starts. The Course says that it's not your job to seek for love. It's your job to seek for the barriers that you've placed to the awareness of love's presence. So the way that those barriers seem to arise is through the feelings that come up for us in our day-to-day life with everything, whether it's with other people or our job. Just as we go through life, we get uncomfortable we get triggered by all kinds of things. And so really true empathy is a practice for all the time. It's not just about being with other people. I was actually talking to my friend Rebecca the other day. I had a Valentine's Day gathering here, and she was my one attendee, and we had this beautiful conversation. And at one point, we were talking about holding the space for people and holding the space in general. And I had this funny idea come through me about that it's almost as if we're always holding the space for the whole universe. And I need to backtrack here a moment, because I think we were talking about expression sessions. And expression sessions they're kind of a group therapy technique that we've been using in spiritual community, in David Hoffmeister's community for many, many years, where everyone just is really practicing this true empathy. Everyone's asked to really just hold the space, and then whoever has something coming up to give them the space to share that. And if you have something coming up, to go ahead and share that. And then after you've shared your emotions, whether it's raging at someone in your mind, raging at someone that you've had a disagreement with, or someone who's in the circle, crying, whatever the emotions are and the expression is, that after that's been kind of let out, the opportunity for everyone is just to notice any temptation to offer advice or feedback or try to help that person. And it becomes especially challenging when the person who's expressing is really going through some tough, when it seems like it's pretty intense and pretty dire, like they're really believing what they are going through, and they're just completely caught in it. There can be such a strong longing to help, to try to pull them out, and yet it's so important. And this is the mind training that we practice there at the different centers where the community is just holding the space and really being in touch with the spirit in our own mind, kind of like pulling back from the screen, from what appears to be a real problem, a real issue going on in someone, and saying, okay, spirit, I need help here. It looks like my brother is really suffering, and I really want to help them, but I don't know how, because I'm just as caught in the problem as they are. I have a perceptual problem. I'm perceiving things as they are not. And so I need I'm the one that needs correction. That's what true empathy, that's the inroads to true empathy, is the recognition that it's never about another person's problem. It's never, or even this person's problem, that as a body, that the problem is always a perceptual problem. And it's always a problem in which the mind is choosing to see fragmentation instead of wholeness, meaning choosing to see separate things, separate people, separate issues, making certain issues more special or more important than others. It's breaking up the whole cosmos into separate parts, and then trying to find harmony between the parts. And it's never ever going to work. True empathy is a devotion to perceiving only the way things actually are, to seeing the wholeness, and being willing to have an experience of that. And so it takes a humbleness. It takes a really deep humbleness to, every time there's a perception of a problem, to kind of pull it back and say, okay, it's not that the problem is out there. I'm the one with the perceptual problem. I'm the one that needs healing. And not I as if is in the person, but I as in the dreamer of this dream, the mind that is looking out and perceiving a world that isn't even really there. That's the mind that needs healing, and it's the lens that I'm looking through. In the Bible, it says you're looking through a glass darkly in Corinthians, and that line in the Bible means that it's like you're looking through a lens that's dark, it's clouded. we could say it's broken. Like if you had a mirror and you just cracked it, and it's splintered out into many, many different, parts, so instead of it just being one whole mirror where you could see yourself clearly, and now you're seeing all these little shards and fragments of yourself. It seems to be broken up, and I think it's a great metaphor for this world. It's like an image of ourself as we think we are, as a separate self, but shattered even more. So the separate self gets shattered even more into separation. So it seems, instead of just being one separate self from God, now we're seeing all kinds of separate parts, and then we just identify with one of them. We say, I'll just choose that little shard right there, and I'll pretend that that's me, and everyone else is not me anymore, and then I'll just I'll just blame them for all the guilt that I feel, and all the pain that I feel for seeming to be separate from God, and for choosing that. Because really, it's helpful to remember that this whole separation idea is something that we're choosing, that we actually desire it. We wouldn't be experiencing it if we didn't desire it. And that goes for any problem that we seem to have in our life or perceive in another's life. We're perceiving it, and we seem to be experiencing it because we desire it. Why do we desire it? Well, we desire it because it serves as a scapegoat. It gives us something to preoccupy our mind with so that we don't have to face the deep guilt and the deep sense of loss that we've chosen in order to be autonomous. Which means that we're still valuing autonomy. We're still valuing specialness. We're valuing a separate existence that isn't shared with God. It says in A Course in Miracles that this world was made as a place where God could enter not. And so as long as we think that we're in this world and that we have we've carved out our own little special section, this, like a special little body that's called my body and my life, then we're actually valuing an existence that's quite bleak. We're valuing something that it just isn't really true. It's living in a fantasy world. And so it's just so helpful. It's so helpful to recognize that and not to beat ourselves up for it. It's never gonna. Of course, the ego, even with the metaphysics of the Course, the ego can start to use them and say, "See, you separated from God, or you're still believing you're separate from God. How come you haven't woken up yet? See, you're such a loser. You need to try harder." And it just keeps kind of badgering us in any way it can to keep us feeling the guilt. And I've always found it helpful to simply be gentle with myself, to recognize and to allow those insights when they come in that, I guess I actually am choosing this. I'm on some level, even though I don't consciously seem to want this, on some level I am choosing to be separate, and I need help. I'm willing to open to that help. And then that can be the inroads to just a very intimate relationship with Holy Spirit, where we actually begin to ask for help more and more of the time. Anytime there's even the slightest amount of pain, then we get more used to noticing it and then pausing and saying, okay, I really need some help in looking at this. And there's just so many helpful tools now. I mean, getting back to David Hoffmeister and his teachings, I'm just so incredibly grateful. I just see now that I've just drawn him and all his teachings and all his resources to me in the dream out of a desire to wake up. And there's if you haven't really explored some of his websites, I'll just tell you one right now that has so many great there's a Movie Watcher's Guide to Enlightenment, an online Movie Watcher's Guide to Enlightenment, where you can You can pay for a subscription and then watch lots of mini movies that have been edited where they took out the scenes that really didn't have any spiritual value to them, or any teaching value, and kept in just the good stuff. They have worksheets where you can, as you're watching a movie, or just whether you're going through life and because really it's all a movie. You have a moment of stress and upset, you don't know what to do, then there's a worksheet called the Instrument for Peace that David developed, where it's kind of like one of those Byron Katie worksheets, where you just go through it and you answer some questions and you start to just really hone in. It helps the mind focus on what's really going on instead of constantly avoiding the issue, which is up here or in here, we could say. It's tools and techniques for coming back home. That's what we want. We want to come back home, and it's available. It's really, really available. This world is getting very, very tired, it says in the Course, and the mind that is trying to maintain this world is becoming exhausted. If you're watching this video, you can, I'm certain that you're at that point. You wouldn't be watching this video if you weren't at that point of beginning to go, God, I'm getting sick of being in this game, this loop, where every day having to go through the same patterns and issues and trying to make things work as best I can, but failing again and again and again. We want to have miracles, and we're entitled to miracles. We are entitled to miracles. That is the correct use of the word entitlement. We're not entitled to anything of this world. The moment we start thinking that we're becoming very, very spiritual, a very spiritual person, and that people should respect where we are spiritually, and that they should give us, they should treat us a certain way, that's a false kind of sense of entitlement. But we are entitled to miracles, and we need to just pray for them. Say, okay, every day I'm going to wake up and say, I'm open to miracles today. And then just watch, really be so open, and keeping the mind open, noticing when anytime a distraction comes up or a block, and just saying, okay, Spirit, I want to give this all to you. This isn't for me to deal with. I want you to help me look at these things, and I want you to take them from me. And the Spirit says, yes. That's what my job is. Thank you for letting me do my job. Yeah, it's such a beautiful, beautiful journey that we share. It's an honor. It's an honor to have discovered that there is a way out. There is a way out of this prison. I had an idea come to me the other day, which seemed pretty radical, but that this world is really like a big prison camp. I think I was looking on Netflix. I was flipping through some movies, and I found a movie about the prison camps in Nazi Germany, and I was kind of drawn to it. I often feel like I'm drawn to watch movies that may still trigger me, that may bring up something, bring up a sense of perceiving of victims and victimizers, and of course the whole Nazi Germany, that whole scenario, that whole chain of events is probably the strongest example that definitely the most popular or infamous example of victim and victimizer. And it's just so helpful to, when that comes up, to use it for forgiveness. And that's such a deep, it can be very controversial. People say, well, how can you forgive the Nazis for what they did? How can you forgive Hitler? And it's not really about forgiving Hitler. It's about seeing that the whole thing was a dream, just like this whole world was a dream, and overlooking all of it. Hitler was just an image that was used by the mind and used by the ego to as a scapegoat, as another one of the bad guys to blame. The whole thing was made up by the mind that we share as a means of seeing guilt in specifics, instead of realizing that the guilt comes from outside of time and space. The guilt comes prior to time and space. The guilt comes from believing that we could be separate and thinking that we actually pulled that off, and that idea is so horrifying that then the whole cosmos of time and space was projected as a place to hide from the perceived punishment and see the guilt in specifics. Specific people, specific situations, specific actions. And the only way to bring healing to anyone's mind, it's never going to work to, it always seems like it can provide temporary relief to point the finger and say, you're the one, you need to be corrected. You personally need correction. You, Mr. Hitler, you need to learn some compassion. You need to learn how horrible what you did was, and wherever you are now, in some next life, wherever, I hope you're learning that lesson. No, that's not really going to bring any healing, because it's still thinking that the problem is out there, is outside of the mind, is in a specific mind, and there aren't specific minds. There really isn't. It's not like there's 7 billion people on the planet. Each one has their own separate mind. Of course, that's how it looks, and we even talk about it that way sometimes. But we really want to start to get clear that metaphysically, that's not how it is. That's really not how it is, and it's not going to work to hold on to that kind of thinking. We want to begin to question everything that we believe, everything. It says in the Course that you will not learn this course until, I forget the line now, but basically until you've questioned every value that you hold and every belief that you hold. Everything. Nothing can be held sacred. Everything that the mind has thought to be true, all beliefs, even what seem to be very spiritual beliefs, even the Course in Miracles itself, in the end has to be questioned and let go of. It's still just another metaphysical framework, but it's a very helpful one. We don't want to throw it out until we've questioned everything else, and then we come to this point where we see that even the idea that I was in a dream and that I made it up, and that there was this whole metaphysical thing that seemed to happen, even that in the end will be released. At the end of lesson 189, it says, forget this world, and then next it says, forget this course, and come with wholly empty hands unto your God. I don't know about you, but that just, when I just let that in, wow, stillness, peace, emptiness. That's it. That's the joy, the peace. That's the experience. That's our birthright. That's what we all deserve. That's what our mind is calling for. And it's inevitable. It's absolutely inevitable that experience will come. He says in the Course, an experience will come that will end your doubting. And it's not even really a matter of time. It's just a matter of desire. Our desire. We have a split mind. right now. We seem to be, part of our mind seems to be desiring autonomy and separation and specialness, and then the other part of our mind is desiring the truth and saying, I really do want to wake up. And we, moment by moment, we seem to go back and forth. But the desire for specialness is decreasing in direct proportion to our desire for awakening is increasing. And this is just what's happening right now. It's happening for, I would say, for everyone, for the one mind. Ever since the beginning of time, it seemed like at the very beginning, there was this strong desire to break out and experience separation and not realizing that it wouldn't make us happy. And then it became pretty apparent, I think, right from the beginning of time, it wasn't happy. And so I feel like ever since then, we could say that the mind has been gradually learning the lessons that being separate and thinking with the ego is not producing happiness. And so little by little, the lessons of the Holy Spirit are being dropped into the mind and have been being dropped into the mind. And it feels like now at this point in history, it's just getting stronger and stronger and stronger. It's getting more apparent that it's not necessary. This need not be, as it says in the chorus. This pain is unnecessary. And I think there's a Q&A app on these Google Hangouts, and I haven't checked it out. I don't know if anyone's asked a question, but if you're watching and you do have a question about anything I've been talking about, feel free to type it in there. I just pulled it up, so I'll be able to see it if it comes up. Otherwise, I may go ahead and play a song. I have my guitar here. And there's a song that came through me a while back called It's Only Me, that is, it's a good, the lyrics are a good summary of what I've been talking about with true empathy, in terms of the sense that it isn't really about healing others. It's really about me. It's only me, and not even really the me that I think I am, because that self can't be healed either. It's about healing the me that's dreaming this dream. It's about awakening that mind, the cosmic mind that I actually am. The mind that is speaking through the body, and learning the lesson that I have never left home. Actually, I'm still in heaven. I'm still there, and the only way to experience peace in this world is to choose that. There's a workbook lesson that says heaven is the decision I must make. Heaven is the decision I must make. And it also says it's impossible to see two worlds. So we can't, in any one moment, we're always choosing one or the other. We're choosing to see specifics and focus on problems that seem to be in the world, or we're choosing to see heaven. We're choosing to awaken. We're choosing to listen to the Spirit. So I'll play this song, and we can bask in the glory of our oneness.
Everyone that I see, and
everything I perceive is me. And now I'm free. And anytime I believe that somebody else is the cause of my grief, I need to stop and see I am deceived. 'Cause it's only me. I am the dreamer of this dream. I've just got to learn to see it's only me. And when I'm afraid, it's only of thoughts that I have made. There's no one outside to blame. It's only me. And I am free. And everything that I perceive are the projections of my false memory. There's no need to ever take any of it seriously. 'Cause all that's ever seemed to be our time was just a foolish fictional storyline. But I'm learning that it never really happened, except in my mind. And it's only me. I am the dreamer of this dream. I've just got to learn to see it's only me. And when I'm afraid, it's only thoughts that I have made. There's no one outside to blame. It's only me. And I am free. Yes, I'm free in the innocence I see. And everyone that I meet is just a part of myself that longs to be free. And I know in my heart, I know in my heart we 'cause I'm one with you and you're one with me, and we share the same soul eternally. But I fell asleep and I dreamed this dream, and now I've got to take responsibility. Everything I perceive is me, and I am free. Yeah. Freedom. The mind is free. Free your mind, Morpheus said to Neo. Free your mind. So I say that to you today. I'm going to close with that idea. Free your mind. Do whatever it takes. Study the Course as much as you can and practice it. Not just studying it, but practice it. Apply it all the time. Anytime there's an upset. And really, go watch some videos of David Hoffmeister. There isn't anyone on the planet who's as clear as David in terms of, as one who's gone all the way with it, who's really taken the Course, applied it fully to his life, and now is just a living demonstration of the Christ. It's just feels so. It's just so powerful. It's like his words, his presence is so. It's also so light and so joyful. It's a gift to actually live at the same time as one who's really so devoted to being truly helpful, to really living in that state of true empathy. And I mentioned one of the websites. He has a lot of websites. He has like 90 websites. He's always just looking for new ways to share and to get the message out there. And not because he actually thinks there's people out there to help, but just because it's a joy. It's like the same, for the same reason that Jesus came through Helen Schuckman to scribe the course. David and myself and many others who were just really going deep on this path, there's just such a joy in letting the Spirit come through us. That's how we learn for ourselves that we are the Christ, and that's how we keep that in awareness. And he has one website in particular that's acim.biz, acim.biz, and on that site, I mean, it's just full of all of the resources. I think from that portal you can get to pretty much any of his resources. The Movie Watcher's Guide to Enlightenment, to all of his audios. He has another site is acim.me, acim.me. That's his Spreaker internet radio site where he broadcasts, and whenever he does a gathering, or he uploads his audios of his gatherings, and there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours of free audios on there where you can just really dive in and immerse. And then of course his YouTube videos, and then there's an online store where you can purchase his books that people have compiled of his talks. And he's never really sat down to write a book, but those of us who've been inspired by him have taken the time to transcribe his talks and put them into book form. And there's music CDs. I have a music CD called Heaven is Perfect that I recorded there at the studio in Camas several months ago, and you can get that off our music website, which is livingmiraclesstudio.org. And yeah, there's just lots of free resources, and also resources you can purchase to be mailed to you that can really accelerate the awakening, the process of freeing your mind. And it's just so helpful to invest in that. We've been investing our mind in the wrong things, in trying to keep the body comfortable, and it's actually becoming more and more a reality for me. I've seen so strongly that when I invest my mind, in my awakening, then it's everything the body needs is provided. Seek first the kingdom of heaven, and all else will be given to you. So I really invite you to just start to really dedicate yourself to your happiness, to your peace, to your joy. That's what you deserve. So thanks for joining me in this video, and I'm sure there'll be more. I'm doing these Google Hangouts pretty regularly now. They just feel like there's such an honor for me to be able to share these ideas with you. And so yeah, keep joining me on them if you like, and you can also join into these classrooms. The Google Hangouts are really easy to join. You just need a headset with a microphone, or I think even just a headset without a microphone. But it's another way to interact and go deeper. So thanks again, and I hope you have a day and a week and the rest of your life just completely full of miraculous openings. So bye for now.